last show, I lamented that I lost my headphones and I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't find them. I didn't know where they were at. And so after we got off, I thought, I don't know for a fact, but I think I may have used them on the last live stream with Ellis. And so I sat here in my chair and I kind of scanned around because I thought, because in my mind I go, I think what happened, because this is usually what happens. We finish, I'll take my headphones off, and there's a television on the wall right in front of me there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but I don't watch it because I think we run into bandwidth issues when I'm streaming. Because sometimes I'll watch the YouTube feed on it, but most time I don't. Which I should, but it's delayed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get through, and so I'll take my headphones off and watch something on YouTube while I'm drawing before bedtime after we record. So I thought, well, they're probably around here somewhere. So I kind of scanned within arm's reach.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to pan around my room because it's a horrible wreck, but I have it to my right. I have a bookshelf that the top is covered with art supplies. And I thought I looked, and so I'm bad about sticking stuff on bookshelves on top of books in the bookshelf. So I kind of looked around in there, kind of looked around by my feet. Over on my left, I have a taboret that's got all kinds of more art supplies on it, and coffee and other things. And normally, there's a bottle of whiteout over there that kind you use with the brush that comes like this
Yeah, let's see.
bottle of this.
Oh yeah, yeah, some white out.
It's the basically gouache. In fact, it's
Yeah.
dried up. But I I will set my headphone. I'll set my case on top of that sometimes when I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, but it wasn't there. And I look, and it's sitting right there on my drafting arm. It's like, yeah, I sent you the picture. This is just like so annoying because I was just like, where is that at? I mean, the night before, I tore apart my office looking for it.
It was
And there it was.
reminds me of a movie I just saw called The Pale Blue Eye, which had
Okay.
which had as a character Edgar Allan Poe in it. And can you tell me the story that Edgar Allan Poe wrote that reminds me of your predicament?
No, my Edgar Allan Poe knowledge is very
Right.
limited, dude.
I don't think he's being read the same way that he was when I was a kid. Because Roger Corman, was keeping interest in him
Oh
pumped
yeah,
up. Coming out with a new Vincent Price movie every couple of months.
6 months.
Yeah, no, I meant a couple of months. he, he pumped them out. No, no, the purloined letter, and the whole point of that
Oh, I think I
one.
read that when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's been so long since I read it. The whole point is he put it in like the outbox or something like that. It was like everybody
Oh,
suspected this highly, it was going to cause a scandal or something. They had to find that letter. The guy who stole it basically stuck it somewhere where it was just practically meant to be put for a letter, and
right.
nobody could see it.
Gotcha.
And Poe is supposedly credited with inventing the detective story. And this Pale Blue Eye was Christian Bale as the detective in it. And
Oh,
I'm
really?
I'm going to look this guy up real quick because apparently I don't know the Harry Potter's that well, and
Yeah.
apparently this guy was an important part of the Harry Potter stories. And he's got close set eyes and deep sockets. And the only thing I remember him from is the living torso that was in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Oh, look at that! Timothy Spall was another connection. That guy that was in those P.G. Woodhouse, that story about the pig raiser. What's his name? I forget his
Oh
name.
yeah, Blandings.
Blandings, yeah, Blandings. Oh God, what a fun show.
Oh yeah, we watched the crap out of those Blandings when they were
Oh
on. For a while, they were on Amazon Prime,
yeah,
and I think we've watched all of them
yeah.
twice. Of course,
They're
being a
still on freebie if you feel like
oh, are
watching them
they?
there again. Yeah.
We enjoyed them. I don't know. I don't know if Michelle's up for another round of them, but we enjoyed them. I so so I got a new project
What do you? Oh,
that
really?
you don't know about because yes. So I was emailed. Okay, so I think I talked about this last week. I have my story that I've got plotted, which would probably be with the black bat. I have the spider story with Greg, which he's just sent me characters on, and I've done. Did I ever show you those doodles I did of the spider characters?
Uh,
I think they're in this sketchbook.
Let me have a look. Let me see. I'm looking for this guy. Now I'm determined to find him. I can't find him for some reason.
Oh, I think it's in here. If it's not in here, I don't know where it's at. Oh, I don't see it. Uh,
You know, when I detect,
well, never mind.
you can't see
I
it.
did all the spider characters. It must be in another sketchbook. Speaking of, I dug out. Did you ever use any of the Pentalic utility sketchbooks when you were in school?
Do you have an example of one? Let me. I could look it up. I guess. Oh, those things, huh?
There's one right.
In
Well,
front of
these are
me.
the later ones.
Sorry.
When I was in college, I used one that was orange, but it was made by Pentalic. Anyway, back in the 90s, they put these out, and it's paperback. But it's got like 288 pages. And used to, you could buy these for $6 at Hobby Lobby. And I like the paper because it's just basic paper. It's not toothy at all,
Uh huh.
which is great. And anyway, I dug this out. But so okay, so I've got the spider. I've got my thing. I've got another guy that wants me to do a what's it called, Skull Mask story, which is a character he's come up with, and he's got a publisher, but he hadn't sent me a script yet. I've done a couple
Well,
sketches, and they've been approved by the publisher.
cool.
So I don't know how long that's going to be. Meanwhile, out of the blue, 2 days ago, I get two 10-page scripts from this guy of this character he's got called the
Oh,
Black Cricket, which is
all
which
right.
is more like a superhero thing.
Rubs his legs
And
together.
yes, exactly, to annoy people in the middle of the
Yeah.
night. He he chirps in the middle of the night. No,
Yeah.
so this guy does a web comic of it, but
Hmm.
he collects it, and supposedly he's got a deal with the publisher to publish the collected version, and
Well,
he sent me scripts,
that's
and so it's like, you know what, I'm working on it. Yeah.
you
What?
know
I'm
what
sorry. What?
that's very entrepreneurial to send out an assortment of people you feel like you can afford to where you can have a grab bag of a selection for an anthology for your character. That's great. You guys will amount to basically being a workforce of what do you call it? Work for hire, and you'll do his stories, which is standard comic book industry. If somebody looks for you and
Yeah.
hires you, and you're happy for the work, etc. And but he'll end
Yeah.
up with a cool grab bag of styles for his character. That's pretty neat. I
Well,
dig that.
well, he sent me the origin story that another guy had drawn, And I said, well, I said, that's cool. I said, but I don't draw like that. He goes, oh, no, no, no. I want you to draw in your style. And so, I'm like, oh, crap. What's my style look like? So anyway, so so that's why I got this sketchbook out, because I'm trying to draw and figure out what I want the character to look like, because I don't want to, his was very manga looking, and I don't really want to do that, because to me, that's like wearing tight pants. So I go back to my, my Spider-Man, my Bronze Age Spider-Man. It's like, this is kind of what I want it to look like.
Yeah, there's
some nice, solid drawing,
Yeah, all you have to do is crack open your How to Draw the Marble Way, and you've got all that reference of what's his name?
Oh, absolutely. Buscema? Is that Buscema?
Is it Buscema or the Ramita? No, it's not Ramita. It is probably a Sal Buscema. Yeah. I think so.
No. It's John Buscema.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking.
Yeah.
It's Buscema. It's John Buscema, and I have. I'm treading my way through my wreck of a studio, because I have that.
Just handy. Well, I was watching. It's funny. I was watching lately. My algorithm on YouTube has been feeding me a lot of Jeff Watts's atelier content that goes on for years. I wasn't aware of until a couple years ago at least. And he's got great content, and he just happened to have a bunch of books that he keeps around for great notions and recommendations for figure invention. And of course, one of them is How to Draw the Marble Way. And because it is probably one of the best art books ever made. That it looks so gaudy and kind of tacky with its cover design and all that, but then you break it open and it's like, you know what, this stuff is solid gold. This is people that weren't just grabbing a buck. They were saying, okay, here's our theme, let's adhere to it and show people how to do it. And they did it.
I mean, there was a reason they put it out. I mean, they were legitimate, like trying to teach, because they were having trouble.
Sure, they are.
I mean,
it's just like Disney at one point saying, why can't they? They hit the 70s and they were had artists coming out of schools that had been told to do whatever they wanted to do, and that was art. And I said, good Lord, what happened to all the people that could draw? It's like they just went away overnight. And supposedly Cal Arts, the whole reason for Cal Arts was to say, teach somebody how to draw, and we'll hire them. And you had all that great instruction that went on. Go ahead.
So I'm off work tomorrow. I've got my utility sketchbook. I'm gonna try and do some a little bit of calculating on what I need to do, and getting my character design and my style kind of formalized, at least in my head, for this book, because I want this book to be cool, and I don't want to rip off what the other guy did, and I don't want to be like. And the guy was like, "No, I want you to draw your style."
Yeah. He doesn't want you to. Yeah, that's
right.
Good.
So I'm good with that. So I'm gonna do it. I kind of want a Bronze Age. I mean, I know what I want it to look like in my head, but getting it there. Sometimes getting it out is. Anyway, so. Here's my take on the.
Okay, yeah.
There's their character that the other guy drew. And then, so here's kind of what I've been messing with a little bit, Anyway, so what'd you do?
What, today?
What I did. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what day you were talking about.
Okay. I'm not sure I meant to tell you anything like that.
Oh,
Today my day was just involved in doing a little bit of gouache painting. I got it out and
uh,
but I'm doing gouache right now with the idea that it's really cool to think of gouache as just the preliminary way to make your paint by numbers underpainting, because I'm gonna hit that with fixative and then put
okay.
clear gesso on top of it and finish it with paint or oils. Paint.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it worked the one time I did it, and I consider that the only test it needed. So I'll do it
There you
again.
go. Good
And
enough.
if I fail this time, I'll say, what did I do that first time? I have to go back and try to find the formula. How many premises are based on that? That dates back to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He his first formula. He never could duplicate it. He was quickly running out of the ability to uh, change back and forth,
Yeah.
because he
I
some sort of
checked out.
mishap. Go ahead.
I checked out Phantom of the Opera, the original Phantom, which I don't know how many there were, but the original Phantom of the Opera the other day from the library. I haven't watched it yet. It's silent. I can't bring myself to watch a silent movie just yet for no particular reason.
It's interesting. I saw somebody that went to the trouble of going ahead and dubbing the Gollum. Oh, I wanted to say something about Golems too. But the Gollum, it had a not particularly well acted or anything like that dub track,
Right.
but that just made it so much better, or at least it made it easier to take. Because I've started on watching the Gollum before, and like you say, it's
Yeah.
a chore to try to watch a silent film. We're just modern audiences. We
You have to
can't
pay
help.
attention.
Yeah, we
You,
can't help but be a modern audience that has to pay attention and rebels against it.
you
But
cannot sit there and draw while you're watching a silent
yeah,
movie.
oh yeah, and on that level, Tubi is great for movies that you can just ignore. Tubi has
Oh,
got
yeah.
like a ton of all those giallo films that are
Oh,
just
really?
yeah, they're just totally ju- the dross of the industry. They aren't particularly well known or anything like that, and there's only one. The bird with crystal plumage that comes out per year,
Yeah.
and there's only a couple of directors you think of with that particular genre, but they've got a ton of them, and they're all about witches that you encounter, witch covens that are out in the woods and stuff like that, and not done particularly memorably well. I was watching one that was like had nothing going for it. The acting wasn't all that great. Well, the women typically all of a sudden they'll stick some woman's face on there, and you'll think, "My God, she's stunning." How do women get this beautiful and not become like superstars everywhere? But
Italy.
yeah, Italy exactly. And but this movie had this weird thing where it had this driving loud soundtrack of this screaming level of music trying to get you involved in the craziness that was going on, and yet it was just people walking around the woods. So it kind of like set on top of it, but at the same time it was kind of like, you know what, that's kind of cool that it's insisting that something exciting is going on here. Because we're going to scream at you the entire time these people are wandering around the woods.
I like some of those. I've watched a couple of them on Amazon. I forget the one I watched not long ago. The guy was wearing a mask that looked like pantyhose over his head.
Yeah, they're always they're always
The
involved.
yeah, I'm sure that probably describes half of them.
Well, it involves they've all got problems. Everybody that's the killers, they've all got some sort of deep problem that you'll get into.
Yeah.
We will be exploring what makes them the way they are.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to say about Watts. You know, we talk about him being the Riley method, and he talks about that. He says, "Well, the Riley method," but then he made a statement that really stuck with me. I said, "Exactly." When he said it, he said the Riley method by way of Fred Fixler, and he came out of that.
You've said that before.
Yeah, and that adds a weird kind of flavor that you're not getting with any other school than that way that Watts came up with that guy that was doing paperback covers and stuff like that. He was a working artist doing things that those guys that were learning under him, you know, they instantly added to that and absorbed it, you know. Another thing about Watts, you realize as he goes through all those books and all that and shows you examples of his studies from those books.
Oh, yeah.
That Watts is a guy that understood that to get better, he was going to have to copy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what he did. He sat down with studies in mind and produced beautiful little graphite representation, tonal studies, not necessarily literal every time, doing little vignettes where he's just doing one frazetta ahead. He's always digging in. Part of the reason might be, and see, this may be, you might consider this almost like a trouble for yourself, that as much he can create out of his head, you know, that self-creation is something he can do, but his tendency is always to do just really great studies and enhancements and adding to, to idealize what's real. He's always, getting his photo reference and all that together. So he's not a guy that is a comic book artist type of guy. He's not going to be inventing as much. He can invent, but it doesn't come necessarily easily to him. And because he just doesn't do it. So he's always had that. Whereas you might never stop and do a long, prolonged study because you always emphasize invention. You know, you always are wanting it to come out of your pencil without breaking out the reference, you know.
I do draw from life a lot, though. I mean,
yes,
not necessarily life drawing.
You do environments.
I do a lot of environments.
You really are.
People.
If you do. Yeah, you add a figure here and there to your environments. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are pretty much thumbnails.
Yeah. Oh, so what you're saying is I should copy, like, for example, I have this copies of John Byrne.
Mm-hmm.
What you're saying is I should copy some of this stuff, which I do a little bit. I did that for a while, you know.
Yeah. Byrne, I would say just dig into some of that masterpiece kind of stuff and copy that.
Oh, okay. Skip the comic stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
like Watts was talking about. Copy some line decker. Look at those shapes. That's what he's into. He's into uh, shapes as
Shapes.
a yeah. As a painter, you're going to be into doing some abstract one way or the other in shapes. Well, I started a little big for that. I think I'll do smaller little thumbnails. Those always come out better. I did a kind of a gnarly, crusty looking Doctor Strange with a torso too long by half.
Oh,
So,
that's one of my weak spots. Long
yeah.
to long to, generally from the I tend to add too much space between the rib cage and the hips.
Mm. Well, yeah, it's that sort of connected tissue that goes on there. Those are your two big immovable masses, and and most of your interest in your drawing will come about from the relation of those two masses. Your head has got to be there too, but it's like getting that twist or getting the putting the weight on the figure, making it sure it either goes to the ground or drawing too big again. Got to start small. That's another thing
Oh yeah, that's
I
always
never could
frustrating.
do. I never could draw big. I always had to draw the quick sketch. I could excel at quick sketch because those are like little 2 inch by 2 inch drawings that you filled your sketchbook with. But the
Yeah.
idea of getting your arm moving around and use the whole forearm, don't use your wrist. It's like, yeah, what's the point of that? That's what my wrist is for, you know.
Yeah.
So I'd make small drawings versus getting them big enough.
I'm drawing this. You said Doctor Strange. I'm drawing a Doctor Strange. I realize I have no idea what his costume looks like.
I don't either. I gave him a kind of like going to the opera kind of bell sleeved shirt and a midriff
Yep.
around his middle, and I've got his amulet kind of floating in front of him, and I've actually given him kind of Wolverine-ish looking hair. So I don't know what I had in mind. Oh, wait a second, yeah, and I didn't even give him I gave him a
A
cleft.
mustache.
I gave him a cleft chin. I forgot. He's got hair all over his face. Hey, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get some
Well,
coffee real quick. Now you don't get Netflix, right? I'm sorry. Did I
I'm
interrupt a
Netflix
story you were
free.
telling? Huh?
Nope.
You were Netflix free. Okay.
I mean, I'd like to. I want to watch. What's the name of it? White Noise,
Hmm.
the new one, because it's based off the Don DeLillo book, which I've read mostly, and it's just supposed to be kind of wacky.
Don DeLillo. What else has he written that I might know better? White Noise.
Mm, no, I don't know.
Okay. Is Don DeLillo known as a comic book guy, or what is he?
No, 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 no. It's just a book. I stumbled across the book because a comic book artist did a cover for it,
Hmm,
but it's
okay.
just a classic literature kind of thing.
Just like you do concepts and stuff for a confederacy of dunces. Well, that's a great way to get attention as an artist, is to do basically your own idea. If you were in a agency and asked to do
Yeah.
artwork for this guy or that guy, illustrate something that
agree.
everybody, just the moment they see it, they say, I know what that is. That's from so and so classic sci-fi story that we all love. I know
Yes.
exactly what character that is.
That's Ringworld. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah. A guy had a good idea for YouTube content that I watched. A short subject of the guy that does Tales from the Loop. He's a really
Wingwald or whatever.
yes, Hofstag or something like that. I should look him up.
Exactly. Farfignugan.
Yeah.
Apologize if he's listening.
Oh yeah, exactly. Guess he's
I think
Danish.
it does start with an S.
Yeah. Sarsgaard, something. Anyway, he's quite, he's a genius, and as a matter of fact, he's got the most hits on my Tumblr are my scans from the library copy of his of this
Tales in the Loop.
Yeah. Well, the other one, which is called no, I can't think of the name of it. I'll look it up real quick while we're talking. But he just
Did you ever watch that show on Amazon? Oh, sorry.
Tales from the Loop. Was it on Amazon? Because I thought it was on Netflix.
Yeah, it was an Amazon show.
Oh yeah, I watched every one of those. They were every one of them was different. Every one of them was worth checking out, because that's what he does. He does the images that say to you, "Hey, this is a story being told to you in one image." Yeah. And it's
his work is he's one of those guys that I like, but I get tired of.
Well, that's the deal. When you get this big coffee table book filled with this wonderful imagery, it's like it is a little too much of a good thing. And
that's how Kim Jong-gi is with me.
Yeah. Yep. They're ready to crank it out for you, but are you ready to take it all in? Because it's like, well, that's enough of that.
Here's my Dr. Strange.
Oh, let me look. I was now looking up my Tumblr account. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm paying.
He used a very hard pencil for that.
That's cool. I'm using one. You ought to. Well, I say you ought to do this. You ought to do that. Nah.
Sure. Why not?
In terms of study, well, the deal is when you look at guys like Watts, he's always trying to mention, okay, this is what's going to turn you into an artist getting work. And that was his whole thing, because he did it himself, but he obviously much prefers being an academic and a gallery kind of guy, because he could be doing posters, but that's a very cranky type of environment, not to mention that photography has replaced all of it, if he tried to go after it. And plus he'd just be in line for the ones that Drew Struzan didn't do,
Yeah.
That may not be true nowadays. Drew, he may be retired.
Well, no. Like if you're talking about movie posters, that industry's that nobody does. They have too much trouble with likenesses, so everything is photos now.
Oh, that's the thing. Supposedly, Warren Beatty, when he was doing the Dick Tracy, He wanted to see everything that of him as Dick Tracy, every cartoon version of him that was produced, that was used promotionally, because he needed to see certain things that only he could see on whether or not it looked like him. You know, he wanted to make sure there was likenesses produced.
God.
I got that from Shell Dorf. I have no idea if it's actually true.
Sure feels true though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. We want you want it to be true. Speaking of wanting it to be true, I want it to be true that Pfizer are being proactive in trying to develop our next plague. That seems right to me. You know, supposedly this guy that's they're sending out gay honeypots. They I don't know if you can call them honeypots if it's a gay thing, but you know, they're going on dates and getting people to talk candidly and getting caught on camera doing it.
Oh yeah. Oh, is that where that Project Veritas? I saw part of the
Project
thing where the guy was
Veritas.
like, "Oh yeah, we're looking for the next thing so we can get ahead of it," and you know,
Yeah, get ahead of it. Yeah,
or
release
whatever.
it.
I mean, it's obvious. Yeah, I mean, you think they wouldn't release it for?
Oh yeah,
You know,
hell, for what? For an extra?
I don't know who was that guy though. That was he
He apparently
somebody important at Pfizer?
He apparently is. That's the word.
Well, those people should be shot. I don't mean
Oh
go to prison.
no,
I mean,
it's
bullet to the head and shot. Anyone
exactly.
that conspires to release another virus. I mean, don't do that. Just throw them in the street somewhere and let people know where they're at. They'll take care of them. You know, I mean.
Yeah, you would hope they would.
The hell that they've unleashed on our world, or
but
that
actually,
hasn't been unleashed. Whether they did it or not, just the fact that they would be willing to consider it again.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. That's the worst kind of evil. There's nothing too bad to happen to those people. I mean,
if you've got the wherewithal to literally buy or rent a Fiji kind of island for yourself the entire time that something like that might be blooming, which one of these guys that founded Google did in fact do. He just was, I'll just step out here for a while everybody else is being shut down.
A guy at Google did?
Yeah, Google found
it.
Well, that's the deal.
Well,
that doesn't necessarily make him evil. It just makes him above us. He just had the money to say, you know what, I'm going to just be renting this island the entire time.
Well,
the rest of you are shut down.
Early on in the pandemic, like one of the last days I went to work, I had a flat tire. In fact, I had 2 flat tires in the pandemic. But anyway, I had a flat tire, and I went to the tire store. I won't say the name of it. The tire store, and I was talking to a guy. Of course, everybody's in masks and wearing gloves and all this crap.
Yeah, crap.
I was talking to this guy, and he's telling me, he's like, he had to get something done on his truck. And he said, I've got a cabin in Arkansas. I'm going to my truck. I'm going there. I'm going to stay there for 6 weeks and ride this thing out. You know? And I always wonder what happened to that cat.
Yep. Okay, now I'm back. I found the guy. He's that's called the Electric State is the name of it, and it's by Simon Stollenhag. And I have.
Oh, that's right. Electric State. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. I have 940 likes on it. I actually thought I had more than that.
Oh yeah.
On my Tumblr. But it's
that's cool.
It's a pretty groovy set of things. But the deal is the text. It's not anything you can read as a book. It's just like.
Oh no, the text. No, I've checked those out of the library, and it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, you can kind of get them relatively cheap, and it's not really even something I'm that interested in. I mean, the painting is cool.
Yeah.
Now that I've painted a little bit, I'd be curious how he paints. You know, is he gouache? Is he oil? Is he what? But
I thought he was just digital. Is he not just digital? I
oh,
don't know.
maybe he is digital. That never even entered my mind.
Hmm.
I forget about that being a thing, which is funny.
Yeah.
It's like,
Since
oh yeah, you can
it's
use it.
about the only way to work anymore. I mean, in terms of like, what? What are you doing? That'll take
Mm,
you 10 times as long. You can't undo.
sure you can. You just have to cover it with something.
Yeah, that's right. You just work with opaque color. You can undo it
Yeah.
or work with something you can pick back up again.
Well, and how do you have a happy accident when you're working digitally?
Yeah. Oh no, this thing I've just recently done that I'm still working on has got, the whole thing could be called a happy accident, you know. Even though I did do
Well,
a little bit of a preliminary study first.
I'm getting my cable upgraded tomorrow.
Oh, really? You're going to go for something? What's the deal?
Well, no. They put fiber in the neighborhood. AT&T did, and so they
Mhm.
came around and said, "Hey, we can upgrade you." So I'm upgrading tomorrow. I have to be here because they're gonna come in the house apparently at some point. Or they said they may have to come in the house, which, but uh, so I took off work because they could only do it tomorrow morning, and anyway, we'll see how that goes. So I'm gonna hang out at the house all day tomorrow.
Hmm.
May get a
Yeah,
haircut.
I think I've seen offers for getting the faster version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got to come through your neighborhood and put it in the ground,
Oh, okay.
which they did all last summer. It was a huge pain in the neck.
Oh yeah. Well, that was almost 2 years ago, wasn't it? When they were digging everything up around your house.
No. That was a year ago, or that was last summer. Most all summer and most of the fall. And so now the payoff is we get cheaper cable, not cheaper, faster. Which I don't, I mean, mine's plenty fast. Maybe when I get it, I can watch on YouTube on my TV and not slow down our stream.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Or
Yeah.
I can stream giallo movies off of Tubi.
Uh huh.
No, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna watch giallo movies and draw tomorrow.
They are pretty. Tubi's just full of options on movies where, you know what, if I pay a minute's worth of attention to that, I'm wasting my time because it's just not that good a movie. But in the
Right.
background, it makes it a kind of a cool thing to have chattering away.
No doubt. No doubt. So, are you prepared for the ice, Ellis? It's gonna be bad this week. I don't know
Well,
if you knew that or
it
not.
takes all the way till next Tuesday to get bad, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm
Still
never
got a little bit of
prepared.
time.
I'm never ready for it. It's nice to get that forewarning. Probably Monday, I'll get out and make sure I've got every supply I want for the next how many
You might
days.
check the weather. Monday might be too late.
Oh, okay. Well,
You
heck,
might you might double check that. Did you have any trouble with our quote bad weather this week?
no, that was nothing. Even though I did stay in for the peak of it, I didn't get out
Oh
for
yeah.
while it was raining. I just don't like to get out while it's wet in general.
Well, at work, I was at work whatever day that was. Michelle and I rode together just in case the roads were bad, which they weren't. And so they told us we could leave early, and I considered going downtown and waiting for it, just walking around because it wasn't cold. I went outside and it felt really comfortable. There wasn't no wind,
Oh yeah.
but it was wet. There was
Yeah.
snow coming down,
Hmm.
and it wasn't that bad, but it was really wet, and it was
Hmm.
just like, oh, if I walk around, I'll get wet. And I
Yeah.
mean, I got an umbrella, but that's no fun. I thought, you know
Yeah.
what? There'll be good days in the future. Which tomorrow is supposed to be one, but I'm stuck here.
Mm.
I should have canceled
Oh,
my, well, Oh well, it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there'll be good days in the future. It's supposed to be nice. It's supposed to be nice Saturday. I think Sunday is supposed to turn. We're gonna do some yard work. We got a new fence this week. I didn't have a fence between me and the neighbors, so now
Oh
I
yeah,
have one.
yeah. Oh, what kind of fence?
So
I was thinking about,
it's a
you.
stockade fence.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Okay, that's cool. It's a little
Yeah,
more courtyard like now. That's good.
yeah. It is kind of weird because I look in the backyard. It's like, oh, so part of that is I think this weekend we're gonna try and clean up the backyard some and do a
Yeah,
little work. I
make
need to.
that your space.
Well, I want to get a light because so between me and the neighbors, the fence was all the way at the back of the house. So there's kind of like a little alley there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we moved that forward. So now that is behind the fence. So I got an area kind of around the corner of my house where it's kind of dark over there. So I'm going to get me a light, a motion sensor solar light. I got one, but where we did the fence, it's on the front of the fence. This is kind of by the gate, actually. But I want to put one a brighter one behind the fence so somebody comes through there. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to get locks for my gates. I've never locked the gate, but I figure why not now that I got a good fence and gate.
Now that almost a clean, let's see, I see it was 3% of our population is now the illegals that Biden has let flow over the border. I,
3%?
I
Holy
think it
cow.
was it
In
was it
two
almost
years?
yeah it was he has almost added like 3% to our total numbers in this country. It may only be 1%. I'd have to look at that headline again. But it was just, it's ungodly how many people he has let through. And
Yeah.
I've said this before. I like when I come up with my own little cliches about stuff to repeat them.
Yeah.
But every one of those people potentially are just hungry crime waves. And New York can tell you right now that is indeed what has been
Mm-hmm.
unleashed on our city. Right now, I
Oh,
mean,
Michelle's.
we've got our own problems with who we let out of jail, but these extras, illegals, are a bane of crime.
Michelle's Michelle's friend in Manhattan is moving out. She's selling her she's lived there almost her entire life.
Yeah,
Or
oh yeah,
I think she grew up in Manhattan. So she has lived there for her entire life so far. And
yeah. New
she's like,
Yorkers that couldn't be dynamited out of that place. They love it so much. Are saying that's
"Oh,
it.
she was
I'm
one
done.
of them."
Yep.
Well, with her, it was somebody an old lady got stabbed by somebody randomly
Yeah.
on the sidewalk in front of her apartment, you know. And
Yep.
she's like, "This is," and part of it also with her is her building she lives in has pretty high maintenance fees,
Mm-hmm.
and so she was kind of stuck. She was house poor, really.
Yeah.
Beautiful apartment, nice, super nice neighborhood, right next door to where John Lennon lived, the building next door, right by Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you'd ever want for if you lived in New York, but she just was like, I will have to work I will never be, she told us many times, I'll never be able to retire
Yeah.
because
Because of
she's
the
paying
drain.
so much.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's too
Because
much.
of making sure the civil servants have their retirement.
Oh yeah.
That's where
Well,
it's all going to go.
yeah,
Wim says
yep.
howdy, and I was outside Tuesday. We'll be outside for the weather next week. We'll be outside
Oh
for the
no.
weather. Yeah, that weather. You've got to put your face into
You
it. I mean, it's out there. You got to
gotta dress
cope
for it.
with it. Yeah.
My problem is always I wear jeans, and
Hmm.
so it's like they're only so warm, you
Yeah.
know. So so yeah, if you're out in it, and it's supposed to be below freezing.
Hmm. That's what I hate. I hate it when it gets legitimately cold. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the other day when it was snowing, it was, in like
Yeah,
it wasn't that
just
bad.
just barely
Like I said,
hit freezing.
I would have went downtown and wandered around, except for it was wet.
Hmm.
You know. Yeah, I think this is going to be below freezing for a little bit, which sucks.
Well, it's just
But it is what it is, right?
all right. We've got a season, winter, that always manages to hit us hard for a while in this part of the world. It's never going to give you a complete break.
Yeah. Yep, it's unfortunate. Well, and we've been pretty lucky this year, I
Oh
think. And
man,
then,
yeah, I've loved this fallish January. Yeah,
yeah,
got the
yep,
cat
couldn't
over here
last forever.
snoring. Yep,
The cat.
yeah, he's snoring. He's got a funny staccato snore.
It's funny to me that you're a cat person.
Well, they're just easier to take care of for me than a dog. A dog is more like a person to me, and they tear my heart up a little too much if I have to leave them alone or
Yeah,
whatever. Cats, the subtext with a cat is almost always like, yeah, I can do without you, you know. And
yeah,
that's kind of the way I want my pets to be.
little independent.
Yeah, yeah.
I get it. Makes sense in some ways.
1899. Yeah, 1899 is something I saw on Netflix here recently. That was pretty. I saw it because Red Letter Media, Mike, the big sci-fi guy, the guy that's a big Star Trek fan, he said it was pretty good. So I said, okay, if he says it's good, I'll give it a try. Well, I just run that. Any sort of shape that made that stand out, I just covered it up. Oh, well. It's like I just dug a big hole in my drawing. Oh, well.
Oh no.
I just did I just added one more notion about some tone, and the tone just dug a hole in it. I did that with that recent painting I did, which I started out with gouache of Batman, a very abstract thing anyway. It started
Yeah.
out that way, but then I rendered Catwoman way too much, and her darks were too strong, and to where basically I had a Catwoman that was floating on top of the rest of the painting. I had to
Oh
go in
yeah.
and just about cover every value up I'd picked for that job and stick it back into the painting.
Yep.
It's of course, I mean that this thing I'm doing the shadow like he's been hit from behind by a sap or something, and it's just it is just a
Oh
doodle,
yeah.
but it's something that hat used to come out on top. Now it's just like his head's been driven down in between his shoulders because I colored it. Yeah, that the thing about Watts copying so much, I thought to myself, what would my artwork look like if I religiously copied for an hour, at least an hour a day, popped open a Frazetta book and just copied tons of spot illustrations done based on looking at Frazetta. And not illustrations, just studies, and get a
Yeah.
little bit of calligraphy here and there. I like how Watts loves Frazetta so much. He doesn't even bother calling him the master. He calls him the grand master. You gotta got to
Yeah.
start working on your adjectives when you're talking about Frazetta. At least if you're coming from a guy that appreciates him as much as Watts does. It's like, no, here is
Apparently
the
so.
Grandmaster.
So, what's your theory on Matt Is it Matt or Mike Hoffman?
Oh, what's my
We
theory
talked
on
about
him?
that one book. Well, I mean,
Well, he gets a lot of
because
digs on being a guy that obviously is a great student of Frazetta, and obviously takes a lot of his poses, I think he probably could be called a copier more often for character design than anything, but that's almost true of everybody. Everybody that tries to do a barbarian is probably going to reference Frazetta somewhere in the rendering of the barbarian. The deal is Hoffman does it so well, it's obvious it came from Frazetta. It's
yeah,
like, oh, I remember that barbarian.
yeah,
I remember
yeah.
exactly how he was dressed and everything, and you've done an excellent job of recreating him. But no, he's just a one. But he also is a guy that is as capable as Sinchevich, as switching to some acrylic and giving you bright day glow stuff. He moves around with his stuff, and he attacks comic book work. He gets it done. He just chunks out really well done, simplistic comic book work that is striking. It takes a page from Spotting Blacks, like a it's not Alex Toth, but it's like he is really good at spotting blacks, good shapes. Of course, he's a great painter, so he's going to be all about shapes. And
Yeah.
no, he's a great artist, but
I've
I think he's extremely independent. You could come with him with all sorts of miscellaneous proposals, but if it was anything that had even a hint of art direction or anything like collaboration that wasn't to his liking, forget
yeah,
it.
he'd
Forget
bail
it.
on you.
It's not going to happen. He's got no interest in it.
I can see that. I've had that 300 drawings of his book on my Amazon wish list ever
Mm-hmm.
since it popped up the other day, and you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, oh, I've got that,
I
or
might
you've got
have
the
it. I don't know.
PDF of that.
I've got a lot of Hoffman stuff I've bought from him on his.
He has a lot of stuff out.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think he's got a YouTube channel, and he's got a couple of nice tutorials on his process. I always appreciate good. If you've got an artist you like, you always dig having process tutorial videos.
Oh yeah, It's funny you say that. I bought a Michael Golden DVD that it's the the Modern Masters series that Tomorrow's does.
Mm-hmm.
It's the magazines about the different artists. Well, they did a Michael Golden one, and they released a kind of a little documentary about him that supposedly talks about his process and stuff. And on Black Friday, it was normally it's like $30 or $40, but on Black Friday it was on sale for $3. So I bought it. I haven't watched it. That's what I do tomorrow is watch that thing. I got a lot of stuff I need to do tomorrow, Ellis.
Well, like you say, I'm glad you're alarming me enough about this weather to come that I probably will have to go out and really stock up on stuff I don't want to run
Well,
out of.
yeah, you don't want to get caught unaware.
Yeah, or
I
have to
mean, I don't know what you're.
go to the trouble of going to of not sticking your nose out in it and saying, "Yeah, I don't want to get out in that," but having the need to get out in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You want to be in the position to where you can or cannot,
Yeah,
depending on how you,
yeah.
you don't want to have
You
to,
want the
for sure.
choice, freedom.
It's funny. I was thinking about that today driving home. They were talking about the weather on the radio, and I was like, when my cousin was alive, uh, invariably when a storm be coming, last minute she'd be like, "Oh man, I'm out of."
Yeah.
Something that she couldn't live without, and it'd be like,
Mhm.
oh God, do we got to go out and you know? So we always tried to warn her. There's bad weather coming. We
What do
will
you
not be
need?
here.
Yeah.
What do you need? Yeah, she was a pain in the neck, but I miss her.
Oh yeah. Well, that
Um,
sort of pain in the neck, Russell. That presence. You would think that on a certain level, be every day you'd be going, and this happens on some level. It doesn't cause me any particular guilt that you're kind of relieved that a guy like Russell's no longer around,
sure.
but but his presence and your love for him is so great that it forms a whole that it's like any void,
Sure.
a personal void. It's just there. I mean, it's something that has to be dealt with, and that grief thing. You
Yeah.
don't.
I mean,
It's a very rare family that has that thing where people make an appointment. Let's all go dance on Dad's grave because we hated him so much. I mean, it happens.
right.
You read
Oh
about it.
gosh. Yeah.
You read about these things where it's like, man, I just think I had slight things of dysfunction in my family. These people are effed up.
There's some truly dysfunctional people out there, unfortunately.
Yep.
And invariably, it seems like it's always about money,
Oh yeah.
or something.
Something. Yeah, just something where people just can't let go of some sort of need to needle each other on some sort of primal level.
Well, one of my things, I mentioned my cousin, and a lot of her family, she had just wore them out, and I get
Yeah.
it. She'd drive me crazy, but I was glad to help her because
Mm.
she needed help. But
Yeah.
on my dad's family, we went to Florida recently, and I saw my cousins. Well, I didn't see them growing up because my aunt basically hated my grandfather.
Hmm.
She moved out at a certain age and was like, nope,
Hmm.
didn't want anything to do with him. And he did some stuff where he probably had it coming, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of the thing. It's like, that was a long time ago, but man, I think you talk about family dysfunction, and that stuff can really, I think, cause people a lot of long-term problems,
Oh
or
yeah. Yeah.
problems that they have to deal with for a long time. In terms of substance abuse and stuff.
Yeah. It's
You know,
person. Yeah. It's acid. It's a personal acid.
yeah,
Have somebody that is just too close to you that you can't have any other way other than being close to you. It'd be nice to
yeah.
say, start over, be a better person, whatever. But they're stuck with who
They
they
don't
are,
get to
and
do that though.
yep.
Yeah.
Uh, I was gonna say
we
something.
got we, we went far afield of our normal
Yeah.
thing. That's okay. I've been reading about self-actualization and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and
Huh.
how that all plays into it. It's interesting to me because it's this idea that you have your needs of shelter and food and
Mm-hmm.
that, and then it progresses into needs of friends and relationships and this sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it goes from your little physical needs to these other needs that you have, and then you get to a point to where you you still need that stuff, but you're beyond this desire for it. It's this idea of like self-actualization. I'm reading a book about Steve Ditko that kind of talks about that kind of thing, or more about his philosophy as represented in his comics. You know.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that there might be something as important as the Ayn Rand. What do they call that? Objectivism or something like that. But anyway.
Yeah, objective, or that doesn't sound right. Maybe that's right. Yeah.
But because that is what I probably is called that because it is what she would say is like if you're objective, you'll say this. There are such things as truths, etc. You know.
Sure. And some of that I agree with too. By the way.
Oh, sure. There's a lot of
there are truths.
I was reading a book that I returned, even though as I was reading it, I said, this is the best writing a person could possibly crack a cover on, which is Harry Cruz's story. And this goes to this stuff that's uncomfortable. Harry Cruz's story about his own life, his bio book. He's very interesting. He's called like Southern. Does he get called Southern Gothic? I don't know. He's a guy that writes. He's a
writer.
Yeah, he's a writer, Harry Cruz, and he's written a couple of things that not too much that got turned into movies. He's the kind of guy that, like a Bukowski, he's the kind of guy that Sean Penn is drawn to for being a worldly, earthy kind of guy. And I think Sean Penn is probably responsible for the only big deal movie that got done of his work. But anyway, his bio is just too evocative of my own family, of being so poor and all this and coming up. And I realized I was reading it like at 10 or 5 pages, putting it down and then not picking it up again for long stretches. And I realized, you know what? Someday I'm going to own this book and I'm going to give it the reading it deserves, which is a one-day sit down and read it all, because it's excellent writing. But it's just too close to my own story that what he evokes is like, it makes me makes me sad, and it makes me say, it's like, people are like that, aren't they? It's kind of awful. Yeah. So.
Well, people are terrible and great.
Well, no, that's the thing. He's often, most often, telling how great people are in bad circumstances. So I've substituted it with that.
What's the name of the book?
Oh, what is the name of the book?
Who's the author? Who's the author?
Harry Cruz, an easy name to spell.
Cruis. Is there an I in it?
No, it's spelled like the camera crew.
Oh, Cruz.
Yeah, Cruz.
I'll look it up.
Feast of Snakes. Doesn't that sound like a great...
Oh, gosh.
Writer of dark fictions, dead at 76, died in 2012. Yeah, A Childhood. That's what it's called, A Childhood. Yeah. God, you'd think your guy could recover that title that just only sat around here for 2 months. My mind is going. My mind is going. Yeah. Well, we've been over an hour. Yeah, it's been over an hour.
Speaking of going.
Hey, Wim, thanks for dropping by. You stayed around.
Thanks, Wim.
I'll finish this drawing in front of me. Okay, see you later.
See you, Ellis.
Bye-bye.
Bye.